Shall we begin?
You aren't stuck in traffic. You are traffic.
Let's begin now.
Please get that bicycle-shaped object out of this shop. Oh no, dude. No mix and match here. Black bottoms or full-on kit. Pedal on, bro. Pedal on.
Let's begin now.
Oh, geez. Learn the hard way. Wider is better.
Today is Friday, April 26, 2019. You just downloaded and are listening to Bike Shop CX. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading, everyone. Music I'm using on today's show is Bijou by Philly Run. As always, you can get this tune at the Free Music Archive, where you can download it for free. Bike Shop CX is a proud member of the Wide Angle Podium Network. If you get a chance, get over to wideanglepodium.com, click on Become a Member, and become a member. Monthly donor, one-time donor, it's all good. Whatever works best for you. We love the monthly donors, but if that doesn't work for you, that's fine. The one-time donation is easier for some people, and we really, really appreciate it no matter what. The subscribers and the donors are what drive the network and what make it possible for us to keep doing what we're doing. So thank you for everyone that has done that and for everybody that's thinking about it. All right, what are we going to do on today's show? Today's show is back to just Mr. David Palan and myself. We're going to run through he had some headset issues, so we decided, hey, let's talk about headsets a little bit as the tech topic. Of course, we're going to do What Are You Working On in our beginning segment. And then, of course, we ended off with viewer questions. So, you know what? I'm not going to blab anymore. Let's get on with it. The Bike Shop is open. All right, we are back for another edition of
Bike Shop CX.
What?
Bike Shop CX.
With me, as always,
Mr. David Palan.
and it's just you and I this week, Mr.
Just
David
you
Palan.
and I.
It feels lonely without Dr. Tracy Berman
I
here.
know.
What an awesome time that was, right? That was just
She's
great having her
a
on.
blast to have. You know,
It was really nice to have someone smart on the show for a change, right? Not
it's true.
besides just us.
Yeah. Someone's going to keep us in line, you know.
So once again, thank you to Dr. Tracy Berman for being on with us last time. I think people liked it. I think it was funny.
Of course they did. She's the Dr. T to the B.
Right. So, hey man, we're a little bit late. We're late, but we're not late. See, this is the beauty of of having to do 2 shows a month versus having to do a show every other week.
Right.
Every now and then,
We do 2 shows in 2 weeks.
when life happens,
Yeah.
you have to just postpone it for a week and do it the next week. So that's what we're doing this
So
week.
you did mention that life happened, and
Yeah.
it's the barn cats, isn't it?
Not the barn cats, the house cat.
Oh, no.
My one, the one I've had the longest. Yeah, just sick as a dog, man.
I like that. Sick as a dog. I get it. I'm with you.
So, yeah, I had to do a lot of vet appointments and all kinds of stuff with him to get him back. But he's improving now. We're back. We're on the road to recovery.
That's cool, because I've been missing my castle, man.
I know. So
I don't have any nails in my leg while we're sitting here.
He's gaining weight again,
Yeah.
so all is good. So that, amongst other things, that I've got going on. So
Yep.
yeah, we just had to postpone and we were waiting for good weather too.
That's what it is. Finally, I went out Sunday. Surprise, surprise. We rode some dirt roads on Sunday.
Right.
The 8 a.m. bonus loop started out in the 40s,
Oof.
and then the 10 o'clock loop ended in the 60s. It's crazy, a 20-degree
So
swing.
you remember the weather we just had on Saturday, right? It was basically 40 degrees and it rained all day.
40 inches, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
My buddy, who I've talked about before, that does the Randoneer.
Right?
Saturday was the first ride for the Detroit Randoneers.
Oh, no.
The first. So they start with the shortest distance. The shortest official distance, I guess, is 200K. 200K in 40 degrees in raining has got to be probably as bad a cycling weather as you can get. Can you? I mean,
We talk about this all the time in our Sunday gravel group.
yeah.
I would much rather ride in 15 degrees, sub-zero temperature
Yeah.
to a degree, rather than 40 degrees and raining.
Yeah.
40 degrees and raining, you cannot keep your body warm.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And so they did 200K. I mean, in just steady. It wasn't like a huge downpour all day, but it was just steady.
Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
200K.
Wow.
They
That's a
had
long time to be wet.
19 people started the ride,
Yeah.
only one DNF. These guys are
Those random
These guys
guys.
and women are hardcore, man.
They are.
That is impressive.
Especially because if you start, I've always said, if I start and it's sunny and then it starts to rain, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But to start in the rain,
That is a whole.
it's
just mentally that takes so much
harder.
willpower,
Yeah.
man.
It is so much harder.
Yeah, props to them for doing that, and yeah, at least I guess the only good part about it is at least it wasn't the 600, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, speaking of 200,
Yeah.
we can talk about 100 miles.
Yes.
And you and I are going to be with P.T. Barnum, J.B. Hancock.
For the Glenn Glarigan Ross Gamble
the Gramble, Grumble, Rumble.
on June 8th in Alma, Michigan.
That's the one we're
Yeah.
going to be doing.
Look on Bike Reg.
And I just signed up for a 200K.
Okay. Which is about what, 120?
Yeah, 125 or so.
Yeah.
Gravel. I am understanding that there may be a river crossing or two.
Without a bridge.
Yeah, and I was talking with Ryan Gam from Red Kite Coaching, and I did remind him that I'm not a tall person, so it can't be very deep river crossing. But yeah, we're gonna be
There's no
down
deep
there.
rivers. There's no deep water, is
Yeah.
there?
No fast moving water. I'm just a little guy.
He'll be like that famous picture of the cyclocross guy whose head is completely in the water and his bike is flipping over him. That'll be you.
That will be me.
So what is this event you're telling us about?
It's called a Red Kite Ronde down at Kenyon College in Gambier, Ohio.
Now I have a question about
I should probably look all this up so I have the data.
Are any of our fellow wide angle podium hosts going to be at that ride?
Funny you should ask.
As far as you know.
As far as I know, with the hashtag Don't Die in July, Doug and John from the Gravel Lot are going to be there.
Nice.
Yeah, so we've talked about doing some, I'd like to say live podcasting, but we know it's not live podcasting. It would be live
recorded
of podcasting. We're trying to recruit Scotty D to come
I might
down.
show up.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this one. It's
cool.
In support of Red Kite Coaching.
Yeah, cool.
You know, some young lady by the name of Jen Malik, maybe?
I do know
perchance?
Jen
Yeah.
Malik.
So, yeah.
Nice. That'll be fun.
Yeah, so all of our viewers, if you're in the area, come on down. It's July 20th weekend in Gambier, Ohio. Just look up
Yeah.
Google.
And we can talk about, I mean, it's a ways away. We can talk about it as it gets closer. So that's cool.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, Mr. David Palan, what do you have in your mug right there?
That in my mug, in my Bike Shop CX mug, the official mug.
So people know it's a mug with a Bike Shop CX sticker on it.
Sticker. April CX Challenge sticker.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Some people know what you're talking about.
They should all know. Come on, viewers, get on it. But I digress.
Yes.
This is official full Schleck. I'm still a big
The
full
full
Schleck
Schleck
fan. What do you got in there?
That's what I'm going with too. I got the full Schleck in
Yeah.
here. Yeah, enjoying that. I'm trying to reduce my amount of coffee drinking to just 1 cup a day.
Yeah.
One, I should say mug, because this is probably...
That's a 64-ounce cup.
Yeah. But 1 a day.
Yeah.
But that's all right. Is when it's this quality...
Yeah. That's all you need.
That's all you need, right. So for people that don't know what we're talking about, if you go to GrimpeurBrothers.com or if you just go to the Wide Angle Podium website, there's a link there to Grimpeur Brothers. And if you purchase some of the full Schleck coffee that they make or the Hello Cyclocross Friends Espresso, it helps support the shows and the network.
Yeah.
How cool is
in
that?
In particular, you and I.
Us and Slow Ride and
Bill.
Crosshairs. Yeah. So, that's very, very helpful. It gives us a little bit of extra money to do things like replace cables,
Yeah.
which I had to do this week.
I can say I noticed you had a new cable over
Cables
there.
are expensive, dude. Oh, my goodness. I hadn't bought any in a while, and I'm like, oh, my God. So yeah, it helps with stuff like that. It really helps, just make us not have to spend money out of our own pocket just to do the show that we hope you all enjoy.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. David Palan.
Yes, sir.
The other question I have to mention for you.
You've been asking me questions since
I know.
it's been like question after question
That's
after
what
question.
this show is about, questions. What are you working on?
I'm working on, and I'm betting we're going to talk about it later today as well. I haven't looked at our notes yet, but
Okay.
the script that we got ahead of time. I am working on my Colnago. I ride it on the dirt roads from time to time. I don't know if I've told you that.
Yes,
Sometimes over considerable distances in not pleasant weather.
I have heard about this dirt road riding thing. Yeah.
And the other day I put it up in my Feedback Sports stand. Normally when you put it up, you kind of push the front end down a little bit, just past parallel to the ground, so the front wheel kind of
doesn't spin,
sits
doesn't
right.
knock. Yeah.
And it
stayed straight.
It actually didn't stay straight. It was the opposite. It stayed with the wheel turned. It's like, oh, that's not a good sign, man. And yeah, I dropped out that, pulled off the stem, dropped out the fork, and the bottom headset bearing was seized.
Oh. Well, that's the one that most likely... It depends. So, like, I've done bikes for triathletes.
Triathletes, it's always the top one.
It's always the top one because they ride it on the trainer and they sweat down into it.
Yep.
And for dirt road riders, it's always the bottom one because that's where most of the junk gets kicked up from the wheel off the road into.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you can almost tell what kind of bike it is by which bearing on the head tube is seized.
Yeah, so it was the bottom.
So, okay. So you got that. Is it fixed now?
It is fixed now.
Okay.
Well, not like fixed in place, but repaired.
Repaired.
But we'll talk more about it.
We're going to talk more about headsets and stuff, just basic headset stuff in the tech topic today. So that's...
Let's save that.
But yeah, the feedback, like that you've turned it. I once took a woman who I knew who was a really good triathlete. I mean, she used to be the top amateur, top non-pro finisher at like Ironman. Like she was the top.
Yeah.
When Chrissy Wellington came back after she was injured a few years ago, and won Arizona as her first like comeback.
Yeah.
Maria was the top amateur finisher, so she's got a picture of herself and Chrissy Wellington on the podium.
Well, how cool is that?
Yeah, that's how good she was, right?
Yeah.
And she'd raced in Hawaii. She qualifies any Ironman she would do, she would qualify for it. So, I actually did bike stuff for her 2 years out in Hawaii for twice. I mean, you can't do much for. You can set it up. Once they rack it in the transition, you can't touch it again, right? They're on their own in a triathlon.
They don't come through in laps and you raise your hand. And
No, not like cyclocross. But, it gave her some peace of mind knowing that everything was good, at least at the start.
Right.
So, yeah, I did that for a couple years for her. But, so that's how good she was, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, can you do an overhaul on my training bike? Sure. She brings it over, and just like you said with your bike, I pull it out of the back seat of her car, and the front wheel stays straight out. Like I'm holding it by the the saddle and the pedal as I pull it out of the car, and the front wheel doesn't move at all. I'm like, Marie, what is going on? Yeah, it would not even. She's like, yeah, this has been on the trainer but she's doing like 3-hour trainer rides, dude. 4-hour trainer rides.
When the bike is a dedicated trainer bike, you're not turning that.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't even realize how bad off it is.
I'm like, this is definitely going to need replacing. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, hey, that's the sign of, like we're saying, that bike owes you nothing.
No, it does not.
You've got some miles in that thing for sure.
It does indeed. So, but more importantly about me, and you're questioning me.
Yes.
What are you working on?
So I have right now in my stand my friend Dan, who is also a triathlete, did an Ironman last year.
It's taken him this long to bring you the bike?
No, he brought me his training bike.
Okay.
He has like so I generally do not like clamp on aero bars. I think they are extremely dangerous.
For a number of reasons.
For especially because it's it's almost this backward thing where people as a beginner, they think that's the easier route to go. So they're not very competent on the bike yet, and then they go and clamp on aero bars on. In my opinion, you actually need to be more experienced to have those than you do dedicated tri bars.
Yes, and I mean, just from a fit standpoint, and
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare because the bike is not the geometry of the bike. The overall
It's not
geometry of
meant
the
to
bike
have those.
is not
Yes.
meant to
Yes.
have you rolled that far forward.
Right.
So yeah.
So, anyways, but that's what he has on his training bike. But this is different. This guy has done a dozen Ironmen, right? He rides miles and miles and miles on this trainer bike. So he's very very accomplished as far as number of miles with clamp on aero bar. So for him, I'm like, yeah, dude, go, whatever, go for it.
Yeah. Which also allows for him to go to ride in a pack or whatever, because you can have your hands on the shifters and the brakes at the same time.
He can just sit up and use the regular bar. Exactly. So for someone like him, I think they're okay. Right, I don't love it because of all the reasons you said. Yeah, but at least he's accomplished enough. He's got enough miles in his legs that he's not going to crash with this. So, anyways, just a basic tune-up. He's one of my regular guys that brings his bike to me probably 4 times a year, and I do tune-ups, replace cables, all the usual stuff. And I've replaced his 11-tooth gear on his cassette, I think twice. The rest of the cassette is still the one pristine, and then but the 11 needs to be replaced because basically, like a lot of triathletes, he shifts into the 11, puts it in the big ring on the front, and just drives. Right?
Yeah. Man, we took a triathlete with us on a long road ride one time, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, just spin a little bit, man.
Right, man.
You're going to pay for this. I promise you. You're going to thank me. Get that up maybe 90 RPM, And, man, we were about 30 miles away from home, and he just blew up.
Yeah. So, but, he mostly rides by himself. That's the way he does it. And in most triathlons, that's doable because it's pretty flat.
You have to ride mostly by yourself.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, but I'm like, dude, on your next bike, we're getting you a bigger front ring so that you can ride up in the cassette, right? When you get to a downhill, you've got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
And then you can, so anyways, that's the long term. But anyway, yeah, so just a basic tune up on that. It's an older carbon felt that he has had. It's got to be at least 10 years now, man.
That's a nice bike.
So just like your Colnago, it reminds me a lot of your Colnago. It's black carbon, and but it's a road bike, obviously, and it's just a workhorse for him.
Yeah,
but he keeps it in good. Like I said, he brings it to me 4 times a year, right? So he doesn't like to do any mechanical stuff short of inflating the tires and lubing the chain.
Yeah,
but anytime there's anything, he brings it to me. Can you check this out? Can you check this out? So, and when you do that, stuff lasts, right? You can put a ton of miles on that stuff.
Just keep them off the dirt roads, I guess.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. And then Dr. Tracy Berman, speaking of her again, she brought me. I just got her Huckaloogie to start on, so I'll be doing that next too.
Nice.
Yeah. That bike is. That's a light bike.
Crazy light.
For as old as those are, it's like I picked it up. I was like, "Wow,
yeah,
it's
and coming from that the Focus Mares, the AX, the aluminum bike. Yep. Here's a huge weight
that's a much heavier bike than this. This is it's a nice, it's almost like Mr. David Palan. You could have a canty brake light bike for nice weather, and then you've got your heavier disc brake bike for your mud weather.
Yeah, like a Warbird or something.
Like a Warbird.
Right?
Yeah. So it's cool. I haven't gotten into that yet, but I will be soon. And then my friend Dan, as soon as he comes to pick this one up, he's bringing the race bike. So I'm going to be doing that, which is a Kestrel. So anyways, that'll probably be my next What Are You Working On?
Sounds good. We look forward to hearing about that Kestrel.
We are also in the middle, Mr. David Palan, of what is commonly known as the April CX Challenge.
# April CX Challenge.
For people, how cool has this been, man?
I didn't know where it came from. I just saw it one day. And I was like, what a great idea. I don't know where he came up with this. It's a great idea. And I thought you and I would be tossing it out back and forth occasionally.
Yeah.
We have had some great stuff out there.
Almost 500 posts now.
Yeah.
And today is what, the 22nd? what's today? The 22nd, April
Yeah.
22nd. And we've got 500 posts. So we got 8 more days.
8 days.
After today. And every day has a theme. If you're not don't know what we're talking about, go on Instagram, hashtag AprilCX Challenge, and you'll see all the posts. Every day has a theme. The list of the themes is in one of the early posts that I did.
Go to April CX Challenge and then sort it by time.
Recent.
That's what it's called.
Yep.
And then you're going to have to scroll all the way to the bottom, but that's where you'll
The
find
list is. Right.
Yeah.
And you go from day to day, and you just post a picture to Instagram that is at least slightly related to that theme, but you can be as
The more creative, the better.
you can
really.
be as creative as you want. Some people, it's funny because some people have interpreted. What's the one? There was one that a lot of people interpreted a different way. The one about
STDs. I don't remember which one you were going with. Crank Brothers, STDs.
No, it was one that Sonny Gilbert took a completely different way than. I know what it was. It was "Bring It" on a training ride, and I was thinking a tool or something that you bring with you on a training ride, and she interpreted it as did a couple other people, like "Bring it" on a training ride. So that was funny. You got to talk in the mic, dude. You're like a mile away from
I backed away because I had to go over here onto the Instagrams. Okay, I'm with you again.
So it's funny how different people interpret different stuff. There's stuff for the topic for today is steel.
Steel.
STEEL. And I was talking to my wife this morning. I'm like, I should have wrote steel or steel.
Well, I'm gonna because I always hack away at.
But you could still interpret it that way if you want to.
Yeah.
So the winner, we are going to pick. Mr. David Palan and I are going to pick the winner, and the winner is just kind of whose pictures over the course of the month we like the best. Who do we think put in the biggest effort and was the most creative and followed it? I think one of the things a lot of people, including me, are discovering is it's really hard to post a picture every single day for a month.
Yeah.
You don't realize how hard it is. So we've got a few people who are still on track that have done that every single day. You do not have to post every single day to win.
No.
So and you can go back and post catch-up posts if there was a day or two that you missed.
Not posts of ketchup, by the way.
Catch-up posts. And you can post them late. That's okay. Just don't go forward. Don't go ahead of the list, and that's fine. And you can get caught up that way too. So yeah, get involved. Check it out. And the winner is going to get to be on the show.
Whoa!
They're going to Skype into the show with us, and we're talking the entire show, right?
Not just a little vignette.
And they will basically get the middle 20-minute segment. We're going to talk about them and what do they do if they have a team that they want to talk about, if they have a charity that they want to talk about, if they do a fundraiser ride every year that they want to push.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about them.
It's all about
for
them.
that 20-minute segment.
Finally, I'm not going to have to talk about you the whole time.
Exactly. So it's just a fun way, and we'll get people on the show. And if we might have to pick two winners. So there might be two.
Yeah, we maybe do like age groups or something.
Right. So there you go. Check it out. It's the April CX Challenge on Instagram. It's been so much fun. And thank you, everybody, for... Did I say we're almost at 500 posts?
You did say that.
So that's blowing us away that we've had that many pictures. Or just go and check out the pictures, too. It's kind of cool.
They're great.
People are like, this is so much fun. I'm thinking about cyclocross in April, and I never have to do that much. Which makes me wonder, why not?
Because in July, their bikes are a mess.
Right. So, all right. Well, that's the April CX Challenge. Get over there, get involved, and we'll be announcing the winner on the next show.
Very likely.
Yeah, because we'll be at the end. Like I said, we've got 8 more days, so the next show will be after that. Mm-hmm. So we will look at those pictures, and on the next show, we'll pick a winner, and then we'll contact that person and set up a time when they can Skype into the show or show up to the studio.
They should
They're
come
welcome.
to the studio.
They're welcome to come to the studio. We got new chairs.
We did.
Well,
we
by
don't
new,
have
by new, I should say.
new to you.
My wife's company closed a building and they had a bunch of office furniture they needed to get rid of, so I grabbed two used office chairs to be.
And I'll tell you what,
I didn't want people thinking we were spending their money that we got from them buying coffee
right.
on new furniture.
No.
No, we're using used chairs in the studio.
We do a good job of spending the money wisely,
recycling.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but I will give up my new to us chair.
Yeah.
And sit in the old wooden chair.
If someone
someone
to show up.
comes, yeah.
Okay. All right. Maybe I should have got 3 chairs. Maybe we're going to have like many more
a more regular
studio
guest
guests.
Yeah.
So
I noticed that the Dr. Tracy Berman mic is still
sitting
here, set up, ready to go.
I know.
We miss you, Dr. T. What's going on?
So, all right. Let's get to our tech topic.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about headsets a little bit.
Yeah.
Headsets.
I've heard about headsets.
I've heard you've had a problem with your headset. The interesting thing about headsets, one of the interesting things, if you think about it, if you're gonna put a hierarchy of bearings on a bicycle, what's the most labor-intensive bearing on a bike?
There's 2. One because it never stops.
Yeah.
And one because it takes a lot of torque and is almost never stopping.
Right.
So I'm going 1, bottom bracket. No, wheel. That's the one that never stops.
Yeah, but I mean, I know what
but
you're
when
saying.
it stops, it stops.
Well, but think about how fast the wheels spin. They're
Maybe for some people.
in relation to everything else, the wheels are spinning away. They still get pounded on. I understand what you're saying with the bottom bracket getting a lot of force put on it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the wheels are spinning. The chances that they're going to overheat, the heat is what kills them, right? Because the chances that they're going to overheat is way higher than your bottom bracket ever overheating, right?
Right.
Yeah. So they're going to heat up. That grease starts to break down, and they become very vulnerable. They're the first thing to become very vulnerable. Then the bottom bracket, because that's spinning a lot as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's a bigger surface area that's going to take in more dust,
larger
and
diameter in
and,
general.
Yep.
Yeah, so that helps make up for some of that. And there's other bearings, of course, in your bike, like in your pedals, right?
Yeah, those. Ooh, golly, not SPDs. SPDs are perfect. They never have.
They never
problems.
break down.
That's right.
And so that's cool. But how much? Think about it. How much does your headset spin?
It never really spins.
It never
right?
spins. But how much does it even move?
It's when people think about this, really, it moves very, very little.
Yeah.
People think every time I steer and I'm now making a motion like back and forth.
Right.
You don't steer
No,
a bike
you
like
lean.
that. You lean.
You lean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't steer your bike much. And even when you do steer it, it's still, the range is maybe what? 120
degrees,
120 degrees. Like if you went from full left to full right, maybe 120 degrees? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, here we go again, but in cyclocross, when you're going at a lower speed and you're doing things like switchbacks or whatever, then you're going to turn
or
that
a hairpin.
bike.
Yeah, then you're going to turn it a lot. But still,
in
compared
general,
to
no.
how much your hub spin, So headset bearings get much less workload put on it. With the danger, the place that they are vulnerable is, like we were saying, all the crap that gets kicked up into them. Right?
Yeah.
They're a little bit more vulnerable there for that. So over the course, people get really, and we've talked about we make fun of the shiz stuff, and everybody knows we're not going to go over shiz today.
No.
But everybody knows how much I like shiz for, one, helping identify what headset you need.
Right.
But it also helps you when you understand shiz numbers, you really get a much firmer grasp, in my opinion, on all the different the world of headsets, right? You kind of have to, forces you to have a certain baseline understanding of headsets in general to be able to figure out shiz numbers. So I think taking the time to do that is,
and we talk about shiz numbers, and here is the key: is there's always a
letters.
letter, right?
Right, exactly.
And that's exactly what you're talking about here.
Exactly.
The numbers
Exactly.
refer mostly to the sizes,
different sizes of stuff.
whereas the letter refers to the
type.
type of
Right. So the three main types of headsets, Mr. David Palan, do you want to tell us?
like integrated,
Integrated. Okay, so what's integrated? Integrated is
maybe like on a Colnago,
kind of
Prestige,
Colnago
yeah?
that somebody might have, Colnago Prestige. The integrated means that the bearing is sitting right into the frame. Right.
The bearing itself, not the headset.
The
bearing
headset bearing
itself is right.
Right, rides right on the angles that are cut into the head tube.
Right.
Right. That's why it's integrated. Right. The headset is what we would normally call pieces of the headset is actually part of the frame.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
integrated into the frame. So that's one way you can just remember that. And those are usually as simple as a bearing. The whole headset is really a bearing, two bearings, one for the top, one for the bottom that slide in. You got on the bottom side, you got your fork race, that's going to run on the bottom one, and then you usually have some kind of cap or something on the top that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. That's like the whole headset in general, and maybe a wedge washer or something like that, depending on the type. But yeah, that's it. That's why it's called integrated. And those look they have a low profile. They look very flush against the frame, and they're kind of one of the ones that freak people out a little bit, right? They see that and they're like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows external cup, right? Those are the most common. They're the oldest one. We see that you can see the cups right there. Makes sense and everything. So most people feel comfortable with that. But as soon as you see the integrated, you go, oh, what is going on? What is that?
Does that have a headset in there? What's up? I don't know.
Does that even have bearings? Yeah. So the integrated. And then the one that most people confuse with integrated and sometimes actually mistakenly call integrated is what?
Zero stack.
Zero stack, right. So zero stack is similar to PF30 in a bottom bracket. Zero stack is a cup in the head tube, right?
So press fit into the
press
head tube.
fit in with not much stack that goes higher than the head tube,
right.
And the bearings right in the cup. So you get so it's zero stack. It's not stacked on top of the head tube, right? Right, it's set into the head tube, sort of, but it's in this cup. It's not riding on a part that's integrated into the head tube. It's this separate cup that you push in, just like PF30.
Right,
the bearings ride in that nylon cup. And then, of course, the third major kind is external cups. That's the one.
That's everyone knows the Chris King sitting out there proudly, right?
See, and I would argue too. Part of the coolness, I think, of the external cups is you can do a lot of things with like design and color, and you can make them. You can make things look a little fancier, and you get those nice anodized cups. Like
I think the
Chris Kings are perfect.
Right?
I mean, very few things on a bike look as nice as a really cool anodized Chris King headset.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, in my opinion, that's one of the things, man, that looks cool when you have a
Kogel GXP bearings.
Kogel's good too. Absolutely. But to just do that. So like to me, that's one of the factors of having an external cup that's kind of cool is you can see it. It can become a
feature.
A feature on your frame. So
and then your seat tube clamp too.
And your seat tube clamp, your quick release seat tube clamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. That's a salsa. If you're going to do it, if it's going to be quick release, it's going to be a salsa, right? Old school dropper
Just
post.
don't put that on your race bike. Right?
Yeah.
Please don't. No. Commuter bike, quick release seat. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, take the seat with you wherever you're going.
Yeah, if you go you stop at the library and you
Yeah.
lock it up, you just take the seat with you.
Yeah, that way
totally
the whole bike can fill with water and junk while you're in the
People
library.
can drop cigarettes because the bike rack is usually right next to the smoking, right?
It's true. So true.
You come out and the grease in your bottom bracket has caught fire from people dropping. There's flames coming out of your seat post. You'll know why.
You'll know why.
So those are the three main kinds. Let's go through them again. Integrated, zero stack, and external. Right?
Right.
So you had a integrated headset on your Colnago.
Why are you using the past tense on that?
Well, you're right. You still do have an integrated. The one you replaced, though, was integrated.
Yes.
As is the new one. And so what you said that it wasn't turning. And what did you discover when it wasn't turning?
So when it wasn't turning, I figured, okay, I'm just gonna drop the steer tube out and pull the bearing. It may need a little bit of spit on it.
When was the last
clean
time
it up.
I greased that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was seized. It was
And
not even just like crunchy. Sometimes they get a little crunchy when you.
So the bottom bearing was seized.
The bottom bearing was seized.
And so by seized, you mean it was
the
it
inside, the inner diameter race of the bearing.
right?
When you hold the outside and you do this thing, see everybody here, you have this out in
You
front
do
of the
it
mic.
with your fingers,
with your fingers,
yeah.
trying to go back and forth to see how crunchy it is.
Yeah.
No,
It wouldn't move at all.
Would not move at all. So I figured, okay, I'm gonna use a rag to put some friction on the inside and hold it, and then turn it with my hand. Right.
The problem is I can't hold it tight enough.
It's just sliding on my fingers because there's a little grease. Still zero turning.
So, but your wheel wasn't completely. I mean, it was just when there was no weight on it, but you could still turn it if you forced it,
Like
right?
a panic turn.
Right.
Yeah, which means that it's really just on the race.
So the race was actually
head
fused, but the steer tube is spinning inside
Within
the
it,
race.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's time to replace it for sure. Now I don't remember.
So what
Does
I
that
did
have
was
a
I
carbon steer
repacked it
tube
with
or
grease.
Does that have a carbon steer tube or aluminum steer
It's
tube?
carbon.
Okay, even worse.
So I repacked it with grease. And when I say that, I mean the entire head tube is now filled with grease. Because it's like it's a friction bearing. It's no longer a ball bearing, right? It's a friction gasket that it's turning on.
Okay, and that didn't work.
Still didn't work.
So
I
then-
did not do that. Bike Shop CX viewers, please. I was joking.
We're gonna get emails.
Email to Bike Shop Show. Yeah.
So okay, so you basically were like, okay, this bearing is shot.
Yeah. Which, of course, when you go on cue, back ordered.
So what did you do? Do you have it?
I actually separated. It has that little. You can get in there.
Yeah,
with
you
a
can
pin,
pull the seal out.
Pull the seal out.
Yeah.
Re-grease it.
Get enough in there
Get
to
enough
make it
in there to make it turn again.
tolerable, and then you just
and
used it until the
wait
new one.
until the new one comes in.
Yeah, it's the kind of. Did you order two?
Yes.
Yes.
It's like rear derailleur hangers.
Yep.
right?
Exactly. It's the kind of thing that they're not that expensive.
No.
Get two. You got one on your shelf, and now if that happens again, you're good to go. Yeah, that's frustrating, but I mean, and you can do that on your own bike, but it's hard to do when you're working on like 50 other people's bikes, and you can't have everything all the time. So, but all right, but at least it's fixed. Did you replace them both?
Yes.
Okay, good. And yeah, so you're good to go. So that is integrated. Like I said, he just had to slap that in, and off he went. I guess that's it. Do we want to get any more specific and deep into headsets? I don't think so.
I don't
right
think
now.
so. No.
We've talked about shiz numbers. They're not as daunting as you think.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's
Right. It's just people I know they really get excited about. Part of it is I think a lot of people don't really understand threadless steering systems to begin with. So that's a good place to start.
Right.
If you're going to take on your headset, really have a good understanding of how threadless stems and steer tubes work. Feel very confident and comfortable knowing. And when I say like, okay, you got to have your spacer stack higher than your steer tube.
right.
Understand why that is.
And then here's another thing that
Right.
we talked
Don't
about.
just know that fact. Have an understanding of why that has to be that way.
A lot of things are that way, though, right?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
If you understand the why,
Right. Not just the fact that it has to be that way, but why does it have to
Right.
be that way? What are the mechanics involved with holding that fork into the frame that makes that necessary? And, you want a few millimeters above the steer tube, not just barely above the steer tube.
and we talked about the similar thing when we talked about why you don't want to, even though you're going to slam the stem and I want to sell this bike later and leave a huge
8 inches of steer tube above the stem.
I'll just put
stack
spacers on there.
Spacers, yeah.
There's a reason why that's not really smart.
Yeah. And but if you become comfortable taking your stem off and on on a threadless. It's very simple. Once you understand why it's that way, what needs to be the way, it's very simple. And then removing your fork is not a big deal, right?
No.
You're very comfortable because that's just stuff. You just put it back together and tighten it up the right way, and away you go.
Here's the pro tip for you guys that are out there just gonna try this.
Yeah.
And most of the stuff with bikes, you can figure it out as you go.
Uh-huh.
Take the tip because I'm not saying that I've made this mistake in the past. I'm just saying take the tip.
Are you going to tell us to take pictures?
Take pictures. Take a toe strap, or if you don't have toe straps because you're young,
Right.
and you use modern bikes,
Or you're not a bike packer.
yeah. Take a long piece of Velcro wrap or a
Something.
beautiful red ribbon.
Something.
Tie it around your front wheel and around the down tube. Cinch that up nice and tight. Then when you take the stem off,
it won't
it's
clatter
not
to the
gonna
ground.
Clatter to the ground. Yeah.
Once you take the stem cap off and then loosen those stem bolts, you have now introduced a situation where the fork can just fall out of the bike.
And it should.
If conditions are right. Well, if you have some headsets have a wedge washer that'll kind of still hold it, but that's just holding it by friction, right?
Yeah,
and if you bump it the right way, that can let go and then everything goes down.
Because if it doesn't come out freely, then you have other issues.
Then you have other issues.
Yeah.
But you might need to tap the top of your steer tube a little bit, push the fork back up. That gives you a gap, and then you can pull that wedge washer out, and then the fork will come out.
Yep.
But what I'm trying to get at too is if you become comfortable and proficient removing your fork, even just taking it out and putting it back together, replacing a headset is
it's so
straightforward once you're comfortable with that aspect of it. So
once you know which parts you need, it's pretty straightforward.
It's just basically putting more parts in. Absolutely. So, all right, headsets, questions, comments, concerns, whatever. If you're having headset issues, where should they send them, Mr. David Palan?
bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
That's bikeshopshow@gmail.com. All right, that's it for our tech topic this show. Mr. David Palan, speaking of health.
I was going to go to the head case, and you go headset, head case. You go straight to health. I don't know how we got to health.
And life insurance. Do you have life insurance, Mr. David Palan?
I do have life insurance. Scotty
So
B.
another sponsor of both the Wide Angle Podium and Bike Shop CX Show has been Health IQ. Go to healthiq.com/WAP for Wide Angle Podium. Fill out the questionnaire.
Yeah.
And if you score
Quiz.
if you score elite, you get a deal on life insurance.
What if I don't score elite?
If you don't score elite, what I like to tell people is, which is, you can score elite, right? If I can. If you're committed to a healthy lifestyle and you're committed to, riding your bike and being a cyclist, and you're probably going to score elite.
They don't ask about shiz numbers.
They don't have, right. Your mechanical knowledge is not going to be tested here.
Yeah.
But, they just realized that, hey, people that are more athletic are less of a risk for life insurance. So let's give them
better rates.
A better rate. Instead of us saving money and taking advantage of that, let's give them a better rate. We've had listeners who use Health IQ and have loved it. We've had them email the show. They're like, thank you for this. This is so cool. So get on over healthiq.com/WAP. Fill out the questionnaire. If you don't score elite, like you said, Mr. David, then there's your goal right there.
Right. And there's other ways to score elite than just the quiz, right?
Sure. Yes. You got to just go check it out.
Yeah.
Healthiq.com/WAP. And like I said, that could be your goal. That, hey, by the end of the summer, I'm going to be an elite and get some life insurance.
That's right.
That's going to be a good deal for me. So
we
there you go.
certainly do appreciate the elitists out there.
And we appreciate Health IQ because they've just been a huge Wide Angle Podium supporter. So, I mean, if nothing else, get over there and help show the power of the podcasting, the power of the cycling community, the power of the cyclocross community specifically, and get over there. And what do we always say people should support, Mr. David Palan?
Support the people that support our sport.
There you go. And this is a simple way. We don't ask for a lot.
No, we don't.
But this is a simple way that people can help
We'll just
support.
sit here in the dark.
We'll sit here in the corner, wear beige.
And we don't ask for a lot. We really don't.
No. So, and if you can just take a couple minutes and do that, and you might end up with a really good deal. So.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. David Palan, let's move on to some questions. I think we only got 3 again this week, but that is plenty. When you have questions of this quality, you only need 3. All right.
3's plenty.
I'm going to read the first one because this is one that we actually skipped and forgot. I don't want to say forgot. Well, you didn't forget because the questions are really my responsibility. So if we missed the question, it's all on me.
It's all on you.
I can't blame Mr. David Palan at all. But this is from Gabe.
That doesn't mean you won't try to.
No, I will try. This is from Gabe from Houston, Texas. Gabe says, esteemed click and crack. I don't know if that's a typo or if Gabe is just being a comedian. Anyways, Gabe goes, very good introduction there, Gabe. I love it. I recently purchased a new bike for my wife for gravel riding, a first-generation Trek Boon 7 with canty brakes. Can't she stop, won't she stop?
Nice, nice.
Mr. The bike is equipped with TRP Revo X alloy brakes, but the pad holders rub on the fork and seat stays and have started to chip away at the paint in all 4 corners. Yes.
No.
I've seen this in that and in other bikes. This is most evident on the drive side fork, which has a 5mm paint chip on it from the holder. I have thought of putting some frame protecting decals, but I think this would literally just be a Band-Aid fixed. Have you encountered this before, and is there anything you recommend to avoid this issue? I've looked into getting new brake pad holders, but can't find any offset pad holders that clear the fork. Alternatively, I have seen some older rim brake mountain bike pads that I think might work, as they're longer than the road bike style pad holders that came for this bike, but I'm not sure if they'll clear the tire with the cantilever open. On the work stand, I can maneuver the brake pads away from the affected areas to minimize damage, but I'm afraid that trail side I won't be able to do this, and eventually the damage will become very visible. Thanks for your help. Gabe, you've kind of, to me, the best fix is the one you're already thinking of, is to do some kind of protective layer on there.
Yeah.
I would leave the pads. I wouldn't try and get all fancy with the pads. I would leave the pads and just use
those rub decals.
Just use a clear rub decal on there, and that will protect it. Every time you do a tune-up, replace. You can buy that rub stuff in like sheets.
Yeah.
Right. That does not cost much, and that's what I have. I have like these 3 long strips of it hanging on my tool board in the basement, and when I need a little bit, I can cut a little bit off the bottom, whatever shape I need,
right,
and put them in there. Every time you do a tune-up, put another one of those on, and
pull the first one off.
If it's worn, pull it off, put a new fresh one on, and away. It takes 2 seconds. And I would just do it every time I do a tune-up, and just double check it that way. I think that is the best solution here.
Yeah.
I think if you start screwing around with the pads and trying to shim stuff and put spacers in, you're going to create problems that just you don't need to have. I'm always tentative to tell people to screw around with brake design.
Yeah.
Anyways, right? So I would leave it with the brake pads that are supposed to be on it and everything, and just put a little clear thing on there. Here's the thing. This is one of those things, Mr. David Palan, that he probably notices way more than anyone else does, right?
Yeah, and it's
because it's
really a vanity thing more than a functional thing. But let me ask you the question.
Yeah.
Is it return spring tension? What is it that's bringing those brake holders back so hard against the fork or the frame in general that it's chipping?
I mean, I think it's just because it's just over time this is an older frame, right? And I think it's over time that those hitting right there have caused that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like every time you release the brake, it's slapping into there.
Okay.
If that is the case, Gabe, let me know. Let us know.
Bikeshopshow at gmail.com.
I think it's just like when you have the cable disconnected and they open up, they hit that. They hit that fork. If I'm understanding, that's the problem I'm envisioning that Gabe's having here.
Yeah.
And just take some, take your decal stuff and put it on there. We've done that many, many times. And if I'm not understanding it, Gabe, right, or then just send us another email or send us a picture. There you go. That'll work. But I think that's it. But I wouldn't mess around with all the redesigning the brakes to work. I just don't. That scares me a little bit. So.
As much as we hate on the bike industry,
right?
They usually have designed things for a purpose, and for us to Franken-bike the brakes. And that's not a place where I would do it.
And then your whole problem of worrying about what would I do trail side, that's all gone. You just you do it like you would any other time, right? You just have that protection there. That's gonna not, so it won't matter. And if you just keep an eye on that, there's of course everybody has that problem with the brake, the cables that run on the sides of your head tube, right? Mm-hmm. We've all had to put decals there, the clear tape stuff. So there's some areas on the bike where sometime with the right combination of stuff, little problems like this arise. So that would be my fix.
Or, Brad, why are you buying your wife?
Gabe.
Sorry. Oh, Gabe. Why are you buying your wife an old used bike? You're probably buying yourself the brand new disc brake Warbird.
He didn't say it was used. He just said it was new. So he said
first generation Trek Boon 7.
It's probably used, but it might not be. It could be pretty pristine. You don't know that. I'm just saying you're jumping to conclusions.
All right.
It is old technology though, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Says the guy.
Cantilever brake.
Says the guy.
Come on. Come on, Mrs. Gabe. Mrs. Gabe, write to us at bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
All right, Gabe. I hope that helps you out a little bit with what we do. And like I said, if we're mistaken, just shoot us. Shoot us a message. All right, Mr. Dave Palan, would you like to read the next one?
I would love to. The next one's from Matt. Starts off with Gents. Just going over my cross bike one last time before Barry-Roubaix.
You can tell this is a little old since Barry-Roubaix is in the history books for this.
Matt,
year.
I'm just seeing this for the first time now. I would have given you a phone call immediately if I haven't seen this to let you know ahead of time. But maybe you're ready for Barry-Roubaix 2020. Okay, where was I? Going over my bike one last time before Barry-Roubaix gravel race this weekend. Bike is clean.
Check.
Won by driving, purring like a kitten.
Check.
Disc brakes perfectly aligned.
Check.
Stem, seat post, and crank bolts retorqued.
Check.
And my saddlebag is loaded with mini tool, tube, etc.
Check.
Also, popped my tubeless MXPs off the rims, removed the dried sealant puddles. Dried puddles?
Yeah.
All right.
I know what he's talking about. Check.
Remounted.
Check.
Refilled. And ready to roll for the race.
Sounds good.
Check.
Way to go, Matt.
Plus. Oh, there's more.
Okay.
So
I hope he didn't just email us to tell us all that.
How prepared he is. So here's the question.
All right.
Does topping off sealant every 45 to 60 days help stop the drying puddle issue? Or do the puddles happen regardless of shortening the interval between filling and topping off sealant? I usually just strip the tire off the rim, peel the puddles out, remount, and refill every 90 days. Dried puddles make the wheels feel out of balance and clearly are useless in flat prevention. I've had this happen with orange and Stan's sealants. Any suggestions would be appreciated.
Keep up the great work, Matt. So, no, it doesn't help.
No.
Basically,
the only thing that helps is just keep spinning those wheels.
Yeah, just keep them keep rotating them. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you were really crazy about it, I think what you're doing, just pulling it out. I think what he's talking about is the dried
up.
He's not talking about. You also get these points inside a tubeless where you get this gummed up section where you probably had a leak.
Yep.
And you get a little ball of the
scab,
the
right?
solids, the scab, the solids that are in the sealant that have actually plugged the hole,
yep.
And you'll get those built up around the wheel too. So and they're very easy to. You just pull them out, right?
Yep.
They're not. It's no.
And then you have a hole again.
And then you have the hole again, but it's no major thing,
right?
And it's the same thing with the puddles. I would just pull them out, trying to beat the puddle. You're not going to do it. No. You're just not going to do it.
And those puddles are formed by the wheel being left in a non-rotating
and then drying,
and then the puddles form at the bottom of that, and then they dry.
So I mean, yes, if you want to drive yourself crazy and replace your sealant every day,
There you go.
That might do it. But no, I would just if you're getting puddles anyways, it sounds like you don't want to be checking those tires that often in the first place.
Yeah.
So trying to check them more is probably not going to happen, let's be honest. So I would just keep doing what you're doing. Just take the puddles out, redo your sealant, keep it. It's part of the necessary maintenance of tubeless tires.
Yeah.
Right?
And let's be honest, every time you break that seal, you're introducing pollutants from the outside world into your tires, and you're however small the risk, but you're adding to the risk of breaking the bead or doing something to the sidewall of the tire, all to prevent something that, yes, it will make the wheel feel a little bit unbalanced.
Yeah.
You might want to cut down a little bit on the amount of sealant you're using.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Sure. I don't know. But I think it's very hard to completely just stop that puddle thing from happening.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just unless you want to just be constantly on that. And I mean, I think what he's talking about is adding stuff more through the valve. The downside of that too is going to be that you're also what you might end up. Did I ever tell you once? I took someone's mountain bike wheel tire off once.
Yeah.
They had, I am not kidding you.
Yeah.
Probably 12 ounces of sealant inside their tire.
Well, I bet it was all liquid, though.
I was like, it was all liquid.
There you go.
But
Here's your answer, Brad.
It weighed
Matt.
as much as the wheel itself.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
what are you doing? This is way too much sealant.
Was his name Drew?
No, it was not. So I would worry that you'd get in that situation, too. I just think popping that, checking that thing, pulling them out, and just doing what you're doing, I think is the best way to do it.
Because if you are adding sealant through the valve, which is the way most people do that, you're also adding sealant to the valve, not just through the valve, but to the valve, even if it's just a little bit each time.
Well, I'm assuming he's taking the core out.
Still, you get it. No, honestly, you get it like in the straw piece of it, and then you put the core back into it. And not very much, but it's getting in there, and it will gunk up the valve.
Yeah, it's just I know you're feeling, Matt. I think we all wish that tubeless were a little bit less labor intensive. Yeah, but it's just there's not really that many shortcuts around it.
Yeah. But it is for the times, right? The labor that you put up, like so many things. The labor you put up front.
Yeah.
The labor it saves you standing by the side of the road trying to figure out.
I completely agree. I'd rather put in twice as much labor in the shop than on the side of the road standing
with cold, wet hands.
Yes,
at 40 degrees.
If something takes me 30 minutes in the shop, that is well worth 15 minutes on the road of repair. So I'd rather do it in the shop any day of the week. So keep it up, Matt. Let us know how often, if is that happening a lot, is it still happening, what you decided to do, and we'll talk about that some more.
Cool.
All right.
So tell me what Tyler Brown has to ask.
The last question is from Tyler. Tyler says, Scotty D and Mr. DVP. I would like to start by saying that I love the show and you both have completely inspired me to do most of my own bike work, even if it means a lot more salty language coming from the basement and my wife questioning me as to whether or not I even enjoy bicycles at all. I love it. I have what may be a specific issue that has turned into a worry. Oh man, we
don't want you to.
We don't want you to worry, Tyler. That has me a bit anxious out on rides. Oh, geez, Tyler,
relax.
That's not cycling.
No,
you're
soul riding.
You're supposed to be zen. You're supposed to be totally chill.
That's
dude.
right. Take off your computer. Just ride.
Go on a soul ride, dude. No power meter, no computer, no race radio.
No race radio.
He says, Tyler goes on, I have a 2018 All-City Macho Man that I think he means now use as my cross/gravel/commuter/ and future baby carrying bike. It came stock with WTB I-19 tubeless compatible rims. I currently run a few different tires, including Clement, PDX, MXPs, and for commuting, a set of 32C Gator skins.
Your favorites.
Whoa. my least favorite tire. Okay. These are all clinchers because I cannot bring myself to commit to tubeless yet. Oh, Tyler.
Why not, Tyler?
Tyler says, I'm not going to give your weight, Tyler. He's a heavier rider, heavier than you, Mr. David Palan.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm working.
I bet he's bigger than I am.
And I'm worried about burping issues with tubeless being a bigger rider. Don't worry about that, Tyler.
No.
I have noticed that quite often when I am mounting these tires that the bead does not set up onto the rim properly with my floor pump. I then have to deflate the tire and give it another go with the floor pump until my arms are ready to fall off. I know this is common when setting up tubeless tires, but it is quite annoying.
So he's setting him up tubeless, or he's not setting him up tubeless?
I think he's talking about setting them up with his floor pump tubeless.
Okay.
Which is hard.
Yeah.
What you need, Tyler, is to get a little pancake compressor.
They're not that expensive.
They're not that expensive. They make the world of tubeless so much more tolerable.
And now there are a couple of pumps out there. I know Specialized makes one, and for some reason I want to say Crank Brothers, but I don't know. Topeak makes a pump.
Yep.
It has a canister that serves basically as
you basically
a compressor.
charge a canister. I didn't want to say compartment. I was going to say cylinder, whatever, and you charge that with the pump, and then it releases it all really quickly.
Yeah.
And that gives you enough of a puff to seat that bead.
There you go, puff.
And then you continue to pump and you add to that. So anyways, that being said, my question / big worry now is that when I get a flat out on the road, that I will not be able to get the tire to reseat on the rim with my small park hand pump. Should I be worried about this? Should I switch to CO2 style pump in order to give it a higher pressure shot of air to seat the tire? Should I ever be dumping water on the bead? To give it some lubrication to get on the rim? Is this less of a concern if I just committed to tubeless tires and stop half-arsing it? Thanks in advance for the advice. Tyler, P.S. I just moved back home to Rochester, New York from Portland, Maine.
Two places I really, really like, actually.
Yes, and I am really looking forward to, quote-unquote, racing my Rock CX and hopefully meeting the two of you. I will be on the lookout for that awesome van. Well, you might
will
meet
be at Rochester,
me.
Yeah?
I don't know. I don't think you're going to Rochester, are you?
It's not on the plans right now.
You're going to be announcing the Alma GP.
I am going to be announcing me and Mr. Voice of American Cyclocross.
Which is who?
Scotty Herman. Scott Herman. I so look forward to sitting on the decks of our Tahoe.
That's like my biggest thing about missing the Alma GP is, getting to hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
But I went to that last year, so I think this year Rochester is calling.
They deserve to
that, and I want to meet Tyler.
Presence.
I mean,
right.
Yeah. So Tyler just tipped the scales back to Rochester. So, okay, Tyler. So there's a lot of stuff here that you were bringing up,
and a lot of things. The answer to is yes. Right. The CO2 is a great kind of way around the pancake compressor.
Sure.
I don't think it's a great long-term solution, but it is a good way to get a good shot of air.
I mean, the entire reason I even like to carry a CO2 when I'm out riding is
to throw it at squirrels when they attack you on the ride,
so that I don't have to sit there and pump that little freaking tire pump 1,000 times.
Yeah,
I want the CO2 to do the majority of the work, and then I can just top it off.
Yeah,
and go from there. And then I always have the pump if I've run out of CO2, or if you waste them and something goes wrong and you waste it or something. You still can use the pump, of course, but. Using a CO2 is always a good idea. That being said, if you get a flat, if you do get a flat with your tubeless on the road, you should be replacing that with a tube.
Yeah, to try to reseat.
Don't try and reseat your tubeless with your mini pump. If that's what you're saying, Tyler, we might be mistaken here. But if you're thinking you're going to reseat your tubeless tire with your little mini pump on the road, it's not going to happen probably unless you have a really well-fitting tire rim combination. What you do with a tubeless, if you get a flat out on the road, is remove your valve. This is the exact reason why. You know that little nut on the top of the valve, Mr. David Palan?
Yes.
That threads down the valve onto the top of the rim.
The knurled nut?
The knurled nut. You should never, never, ever tighten that thing tighter than hand tight.
Correct.
Because if you have to remove it, if you use pliers and you tighten that thing down, one, you're probably going to damage it.
Yep.
But two, if you have a puncture out on the road, you now cannot get that off unless you carry pliers with you, right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to do that. So you should only ever tighten that knurled nut hand tight so that if you get a flat on the road, you can unscrew that by hand, pop the valve out, and then you just put the inner tube that you're carrying into the wheel. Right? You dump any, if there is any sealant left, dump it out.
Or pull out the solid puddles.
Or pull out the solid puddles that Matt's talking about. Put your tube in, and then you just inflate the tube.
Yep.
Right? So you don't have to reseat your tire, your tubeless tire. You just use a tube. You just change it like you would any clincher. Right? You've just basically turned it into a clincher. The goal here is to just get back home. Right? And then you fix it at home.
Right.
That being said, also when you are seating your tubeless tire, the most commonly missed step is, yes, you mentioned water to lubricate the bead. Should really be soapy water, right? And when you create your soapy water, I just have like a little pan of soapy water. Like I have an old like Rubbermaid container, right? That I keep, and it has a lid so I can snap the lid on. It doesn't get dirty or anything. Fill it with water first. You're not don't create
Bubbles.
suds, right?
Bubbles
We
help.
don't want suds here. Fill it with water first. Add a little soap. Give it a little stir with your finger, and that'll be dispersed in there. And then when you go to seat your tubeless, just dip your rag in there, get it saturated a little bit. Rub that around the bead where the tire is going to seat. It is very slippery. That will immensely help that tire slip and snap into the bead.
Yes.
You'll be amazed at how much easier that makes that. Also, make sure, I know a lot of people complain about tubeless. The world of tubeless is not perfect yet. There are still tire rim combinations that don't work well.
Right.
So one potential thing to do is keep trying. If you've got the one set of rims, one set of tires that you're going to ride, or wheels, that you're going to ride, and you don't really want to change that, keep trying different tires. Maybe find someone who's built up that set of wheels with a different tire that has a slightly different fit and will fit better on those rims. You'd be amazed at how much easier that could make it. So keep experimenting until you get a combination that you really like the tread and that sets up really well as a tubeless, and you'll be a lot happier. The other thing is, yes, worrying about being a bigger rider, you're not going to burp it more. Your pressures are going to revolve around your weight as a rider anyways. So sure, you could get in a situation where you do not inflate it enough, but that just means you need to be riding slightly higher pressure. If you're riding enough pressure, that's not going to happen. Not going to really happen that much especially in a gravel situation. I don't think, Mr. David Palan.
I would agree.
It can happen. I'm not saying it's impossible.
All these things can happen.
Sure.
But let's be the likelihood of it happening.
The likelihood of it happening, I think, is much lesser in a gravel situation and a commuter situation. You could always hit the stick that's across the thing and burp your tire. But that's
stick
okay.
was yesterday's April CX challenge.
Sticky.
Oh, see?
My
eyes aren't so good.
So don't worry about that. And away you go. I think we answered.
Well, there's one other thing that we missed.
What's that?
Well, we didn't miss. You missed.
Yeah.
That we go back to his other statement in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? And he talks about like all the different things he expects from this bike. Future baby carrier. Right?
Right.
Burping, not an issue. You just got to get used to it.
Yeah.
Put a little pad on your shoulder. It's going to happen. But it rarely is worth throwing the baby out.
Right. Yeah.
With the soapy water.
Right.
Just to tie it all together.
Just to bring us full circle.
Yeah. And if you are going to be trying to set up your tubeless roadside, when you get a flat, have one of your water bottles have soapy water in it. Because you don't want to be without.
None of these are good suggestions there.
That's why Scotty D works on my bikes and I ride the bike. That's my job is to ride the bike. Scotty D's job to fix what I've messed up.
And Tyler, yes, if you're at Rochester, I should be there with the van. I'm thinking, is the plan right now? That might change, but hopefully not. And Yeah, if you see the van, definitely. It's got the big Bike Shop CX logo on the side. You can't miss it.
Yep.
Definitely come.
You'll be hearing the thump music coming out of it as
Right.
you bring...
Yeah. Yep. And that's true for anybody. If you're out there and you see the van, come by and say hi. Other people have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens quite often. Sometimes we actually park next to people who probably wish we weren't parked next to them, right, Mr. David Palan? 'Cause
Yeah.
we're bucking. No, we are very quiet.
People have been excited when we park next to them. They say, I feel like I'm listening to a podcast right now. The two of you arguing and bickering.
Did I tell you, where was it at Trek? I forget those guys' names. I was driving way out in one of the far parking lots, I was just like, I needed some space, and so I just wanted to be out. And this car's following me. I'm like, who these guys are following me? And I pull in, and they're like, hey,
Paparazzi!
BSCX. I was like, oh, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
And
it seems wherever we go, when we leave,
people
Midwest
applaud.
Devo, people applaud. Midwest Devo always passes us on the highway.
Yes. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Midwest Devo.
They take longer to clean up than we do.
Our phones.
Yeah, I think Dave Palmer actually works for Facebook or something, and he knows where we are and what we're thinking at all times.
See, this is one of my things. One of the biggest things I miss about cyclocross season is running into Midwest Devo guys.
Yeah, man.
I mean, God, I can't wait. Is CX coming?
It is still CX is coming.
Season is coming. Okay. All right. We're getting there, in other words. So, all right, Mr. Dave Palan.
Yes, sir.
I think that wraps us up for this time. If people want to get in touch with you,
Bike Shop Show at... Oh, no, sorry. Wrong cue.
that's okay, too. bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
Yes, and Scotty will get it to me after it has any
2
relevance.
weeks- 2 weeks later.
Can we read that invitation we got?
No, I don't read.
Okay. I'm sorry to the people that invited us to go someplace that I didn't know about. I would have been there, would have dropped everything, and Scott told me.
Scott had forwarded me the email.
Yeah. Anyways.
It was for Sea Otter. We were nowhere near Sea Otter.
I would have dropped by for dinner.
One of the, I keep saying this every year. One of these years, I'm going to go to Sea Otter at some point. Ugh.
Yeah.
It just never happens. But anyway.
I'll just throw it out here. You know, if they're looking for an announcer for any reason, I will help out Sea Otter.
There you go.
There you go. You can contact me at Mr. David Palan on the Instagram and the Twitter.
And you can contact me, Scott Diedenbach, at BikeShopCX, mostly on Instagram or on Twitter. I do occasionally check Twitter still. Or, like we said, send an email to bikeshopshow@gmail.com. All right, Mr. David Palan.
Yes, sir.
I think we're done.
With that, the bike shop is closed.
Again. All right, and that is the show for this week. I hope everybody dug it. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Grimpeur Brothers Coffee, get some full Schleck, or hello, cyclocross friends. Health IQ, go to healthiq.com/WAP. Do the questionnaire, help us out. Show the power of podcasting. We really appreciate it. And go to wideanglepodium.com, become a member. That's the best way to help. It helps us out so much, and we really dig it and are very thankful for that. All right. I hope everybody got their headsets in order. If you have tech questions, send them to, I know we say this a lot on the show, but bikeshopshow@gmail.com. Now's the time of year, really, to get, your question's going to get in, unless for some other reason we decide to leave it out. But your question's going to get in this time of year. The number of questions go down when cyclocross is not happening. So send us another question, and we'll get that in pretty much no problem. All right, I think that's good. I hope everybody is getting out there and riding. If you are getting out there and riding, you know the drill. Be careful out there and take care of each other out there. And until next time, the bike shop is closed.